Растения для меня действительно как дети.
Plants are like children to me. I bring them up and I put my soul into them all the way from a small cotton or seedling.
Семена, даже когда ты сеешь семена, и ты уже...
When you're sowing seeds, you're already looking forward to them to grow. You watch them every day, see them develop and transplant them into soil or pots.
Или в горшочек. И вот это жизнь, это...
It is a part of my life, and I can't imagine life without my plants.
Жизнь без своих растений.
The minimum payback period for a flower-growing business under favorable conditions is 1 to 1.5 years. This business is considered one of the most difficult, as it requires extensive knowledge, a lot of experience and special skills. Sales are very dependent on the time of the year. The average profitability is not as high as it might seem at first glance. But none of that could scare off the former philology teacher and now the owner of a perennial plant nursery, Seredynska.
Училась на филолога, работала в университете. Вообще не думала, что я когда-то буду заниматься.
I majored in philology, worked at a university, and could not even imagine that I'd be working with plants.
В котором выращивала разные растения. Растения разрастались, она их рассаживала.
At the same time, my mother grew plants in a garden. They grew bigger, and there became more of them. So we needed to find where to put them. A friend came to visit, and she offered to buy them for landscaping.
Использовать их в ландшафте. Она купила один раз
She bought them once, then a second time, and then we realized that it was a good business that we could develop.
Но я же все-таки работала еще.
But I was teaching at a university, and I knew that I'd have to make a choice between plants and teaching.
В эту сферу заниматься растениями или ты дальше продолжаешь преподавать. Ну, в душе, в середине все-таки приняла решение, что...
Deep inside, I knew that I wanted to work with plants and develop this industry. So I quit my job and started getting involved with plants.
Институт ушла, закончила институт, но ушла с работы и начала заниматься растениями.
It all began with 30 acres of land. Larissa diligently expanded the range, following the trends in the world of plant nurseries and bringing new products from abroad. Everything rested on her shoulders.
Копала, сажала.
I was responsible for digging, planting, selling, and buying. I did everything myself. At the time, I could not afford employees because I didn't have much land and needed to invest in new plants. I worked alone while I could.
Деньги надо было вкладывать в растения новые, субстраты покупать, то есть постоянно какие-то вклады, и я не могла выделить на рабочих. Пока я могла, я делала одна. Потом я поняла, что надо расширяться.
Then I realized that I had to expand as the number of clients increased, and word of mouth started doing its job. I kept bringing in new plants, which attracted new people. The territory is small, so I could not plant large trees and bushes.
Что-то новинку, это привлекало новых людей. Территория маленькая, я не могла там высаживать какие-то крупные.
Initially, there were flower beds with perennial decorative plants, so I went into this direction and started developing perennial plants.
Многолетних декоративных цветов, поэтому уже пошла в это направление и начала более развивать многолетние растения. Дальше я поняла, что все-таки.
Later on, when I realized that I needed to expand, I spent all my savings on the purchase of land and plants. It became clear that I wouldn't manage it on my own. I needed employees because I couldn't do everything myself.
Брать себе помощь, надо брать сотрудников, потому что я уже не успевала.
The plot grew from 30 acres to 20 hectares. Only 5 hectares are used for plants so far, but they're planning to expand in the future. Then this territory would accommodate about 50,000 plant species.
Сейчас мы выращиваем у себя злаковые растения, очень много злаковых трав, многолетние растения.
We grow a lot of cereal plants, perennials, and ground cover plants. There are lots of varieties, and we try to grow plants that don't require care, because customers don't want to bother with that.
Клиенты не хотят заморачиваться, они хотят высадить клумбу. На данный момент мы
We currently have about 15,000 different varieties, and the number grows every year.
с каждым годом их становится все больше и больше, потому что за границей это все очень популярно.
It is popular abroad. Many professionals come to us to hold workshops and master classes, which are attended by many landscape designers who require new plants. So we try to keep up with the trends and update our range all the time.
Этих растений, и мы стараемся идти в ногу с модой, с тенденциями, новыми растениями, поэтому постоянно обновление ассортимента происходит.
Для того, щоб вони виглядали досить гарно, охайно і формували якусь композицію, нам потрібно їх
For plants to look neat and beautiful and to form a composition, we need to combine and arrange them properly.
деякі рослини.
We're going to take some plants and you'll see how we can place them together. We can make a flower garden out of plants with gray leaves. These can be evergreens, which means they won't shed their leaves. Secondly, such plants are mostly drought tolerant, which is very helpful due to the lack of irrigation in our climatic conditions.
Ну, тобто вони будуть вічносизими, але мається на увазі, що вони не будуть скидати своє листя. І по-друге, вони переважною більшістю посухостійкі. А для відсутності зрошення в наших кліматичних умовах це дуже доречно. Тому я пропоную
Let's see what plants we can choose.
можемо обрати.
We're going to need common mouse ear chickweed and wormwood Artemisia ludoviciana.
Костриця.
Blue fescue 2.
От ще
We
можна
can also add cereals if they're not gray. These will probably be sedges and fountain grass.
і пінісетум. І ще б я взяв, мабуть,
I'd also add some plants that bloom in spring. So we've put our plants in place. It is dominated by a grayish color, but we also used green.
і зелений.
That will diversify our flower garden a bit.
Наш квітник. Переважна більшість рослин тут, це друге буде вже вічно-зелена. Вони посухостійкі.
Most of the plants we chose are drought-tolerant evergreens, placed in the order which they will be planted.
Ростуться.
They will grow together completely by next year. It is not necessary to put low plants at the front.
Наприклад, як ми лавандою,
For example, just like how we covered chickweed with lavender.
воно буде...
We did that intentionally, and I think it will look good.
І бажаю вам все ж таки експериментувати.
I also advise you to experiment, because it's your garden and you shape your own mood.
Це сказати,
I'd also like to add that plants should be placed in arrays. It's very important.
Поговоримо про рослину лаванду. Це одна із
Lavender is one of the most popular plants used in landscaping.
Це засухостійка рослина. І
This plant is drought tolerant and not demanding.
ні до чого. Також дуже часто виникає питання.
The question as to how to split it arises quite often. We can use lavender as an example to show how all plants are split.
Перший метод
The first method that is used the most is we just take it and dive it like so.
і розділяємо сам кущик.
Then we tear off this part, cut off the top and some of the roots.
Так, взяли. Підрізаємо верх і трішки корінчики. У нас уже є
Everything is now ready for us to plant this plant in a pot or open soil.
садили цю рослину. Беремо горщик, ну або це використовуємо просто якби в відкритому ґрунті. Все, рослина готова. Ми бачимо,
We end up with these leftover cuttings, which you shouldn't throw out, because they will also grow into lavender.
може вирости нова лаванда. Це наступний метод діління, тобто
Here's the second splitting method, cutting. We
від
tear off these parts we don't need. Now we have the top and the root. We take this mold, fill it with earth, and put the plant
у
in.
нас є корінчик. І просто беремо мультиплату, набираємо туди землю просто
That's it, the plant will take root here.
все. Рослинка у нас буде
We
укорінювати.
will then transplant it into open soil.
Ми просто можемо її взяти і вже висадити у відкритий ґрунт. Також
As you can see, lavender has seeds that we can also collect and sow. We can tear them off or cut the flower stalks, then collect the seeds from them and dry them.
просто цвітоноси. Ось вони вже в нас є. Потім просто ми збираємо із них насіння, висушуємо його.
Lavender seeds can be stored for up to 5 years. These methods are used for dividing all plants. But there are also individual things you need to take into account, such as the type of root system.
Все-таки є щось індивідуальне.
If the root system is fibrous, you can simply split the bush, but in the case of a taproot system, you need to use cutting.
Тобто там є один корінчик, то тут уже ми беремо черенками, знімаємо.
There is a shortage of violets and lavender in Ukraine at present. The price of the latter has reached 270 hryvnias a kilogram and continues to rise. Speaking of the purchase prices of dried medicinal herbs, they typically range from 50 to 100 hryvnias a kilogram. According to calculations by market participants, medicinal herbs can now make you 300 to 400,000 hryvnias of profit per hectare. The payback period for such a business is about 2 years.
Ми підійшли до астри
This is a New England aster, which used to be treated like a weed. No attention was paid to it at all. You could see it in every old lady's yard. Right now, however, they're at the peak of their popularity. They're quite often used in flower beds. Due to the fact that they're bright and tall, they're usually placed at the back.
то її використовують десь на задньому плані. Також астри є чудовим медоносом.
Asters are also great honey plants. Both bees and butterflies pollinate it. So if you plant this plant, a constant influx of butterflies in your garden is guaranteed.
Цю рослину.
A plant is my tiny life. You give it a life, and you live this life together with it. I cannot imagine my life without these plants. I miss them when I go somewhere, and the first thing I do when I return is to go and talk to them and see how they've grown up.
Я с ними разговариваю, потом смотрю, как они подросли. В нашей отрасли очень мало конкурентов, именно те, которые занимаются...
There are very few competitors in our business, specifically those who work with perennial cereal herbs. Perennials require constant care, weeding, treatment, trimming.
Очень сильно привязан к растению.
You're tied to the plants, which is why there are more nurseries that work with large-sized plants.
Крупномерами. Круглый год мы...
We spend the entire year transplanting, weeding, and trimming. We get a lot of customers when spring comes, since the summer terraces of restaurants and stores are all landscaped and decorated with flower baskets.
Они все озеленяются, засаживаются катками, декоративными корзинками из цветов. И очень много.
There are times when we work until 1 to 2 a.m.
До часу ночи, до 2. У нас покупают растения со всей Украины.
We have customers all around Ukraine, in all regions.
Высаживаем очень много таких объектов крупных.
We landscaped our own Kyiv Zoo last year.
Зоопарк. В этом году мы поставляли...
This year we supplied plants to Uman Park and Sofiivka.
Поэтому есть...
We have large projects where we plant our plants.
Большие проекты, где мы высаживаем наши растения. Я думаю, что через...
I think that in a few years' time we'll be sending our plants abroad.
Растения за границу. И очень...
I'd like our parks and squares to become greener.
Все-таки наши парки, наши скверы становились более зелеными, чтобы больше использовались...
And I'd like to see perennials being used more instead of annual flowers, which bloom in summer and then die.
Лето отцвели, потом пропадают. Все-таки хочется, чтобы больше использовали многолетних растений, которые...
In addition, perennials save our national budget money.
У нас красивая Украина, красивые земли.
We have beautiful lands here in Ukraine, and I'd like them to become even greener, so people would come here to gaze at our parks and squares.
И смотрели на наши парки, на наши красивые цветники.
It is realistic and possible to do so here. We just need the desire, which I think we will have, and we'll go ahead and do it.
Это будет, и мы это сделаем.